So now,
okay, guy.
While this is taking place, Brittney Griner comes out and says, I am so sick and tired of the WNBA. It used to be a peaceful, small little thing. Now there's crowds screaming, hollering. This is disruptive. It's not allowing us to play the game. This is her quote. I don't know if you saw this or not when she gave it.
Brittney Griner is complaining about what now? Fans being too loud at basketball games? That's right. The same Brittney Griner who was once locked in a Russian prison is now breaking down because people are cheering too hard at WNBA games.
It says right there, watch this. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. She says WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done.
No, this isn't satire. It's real. She actually said she's sick and tired of all the crowd noise and called the new fan attention disruptive. According to her, the WNBA used to be a peaceful, quiet place where people could, get this, bring their laptop and get some work done. You know, because that's totally what professional sports are for. I guess she thought she was at Starbucks, not a WNBA game, asking for a birthday cake pop and a venti matcha latte. A pump fakes? Nah, she meant 3 pumps of vanilla. But here's where things spiral from absurd to downright offensive. Griner wasn't just upset about volume. She started hinting that the fans, particularly those showing up to see Caitlin Clark, weren't just noisy. There might be light racism.
But now, it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score, like we're there for their entertainment. You are! The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some light racism.
She described seeing a father and daughter yelling from the stands, and even though she couldn't hear what they said, she assumed it was either about her performance or what she called light racism. You heard that right. Light racism. That's the phrase Griner used to describe fans cheering. Just think about that. A professional athlete hears applause and immediately assumes racial hostility. Not only is that a reach, it's an insult to the fans, to the sport, and honestly, to common sense. And that's when Patrick Bet-David, the entrepreneur and host of the PBD podcast, stepped in with what might be the most brutal takedown in podcast history. He called out the absurdity of Griner's meltdown and hit her with a reality check so sharp it should have come with a warning label. Now here's where things really get uncomfortable. PBD reminded everyone exactly where Griner was not long ago.
Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America, on home soil, would not have too much to complain about, especially something like this. Fans in every sport. She described the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act in every arena.
Stuck in a Russian prison, facing serious charges, and rescued only after the US government traded her for an actual arms dealer nicknamed the Merchant of Death. She went from a jail cell in Moscow to center court in front of thousands of fans, and now she's complaining about the noise? That's the moment this entire debate flipped upside down.
Clearly, she's not remembering who they let out to get her back.
The
on
Merchant
American
of
soil.
Death.
The Merchant of Death. An arms dealer that wanted to kill American citizens, according to the reports.
Let's be real. If LeBron James ever cried about crowd noise, the internet would eat him alive. Imagine Kevin Durant complaining that fans were too excited during a playoff game. Or Steph Curry saying the cheers were throwing off his jumper. They'd be memed into oblivion. I mean, the LA Clippers' new Intuit Dome has the wall for distracting players during free throws. If Brittney Griner was playing there, would she sue the whole building? But somehow, Brittney Griner thinks it's acceptable to frame fan excitement as a problem in professional sports. And to make matters worse, she's doing it in the middle of the biggest WNBA boom in history, thanks almost entirely to one name, Caitlin Clark. PBD didn't let her off easy. He reminded Griner that she didn't just get released from any jail. The United States literally traded her for a man whose nickname is the Merchant of Death. That's not a metaphor. That's Victor Bout. a convicted arms dealer accused of plotting to kill Americans.
That's who they let out. For her. You would think that you would be smiling, you would be ecstatic, you would be happy, and something like this wouldn't faze you at all. The fact that it does is disturbing. I'll leave it at that.
Let that sink in. A convicted terrorist supplier was freed just to bring Griner home. And now she's here, in packed arenas, under the brightest spotlight the WNBA has ever seen. And she's not grateful. She's offended. What Patrick Bet David made painfully clear is that this isn't about basketball. It's about entitlement versus appreciation. The league is finally making headlines. Fans are showing up. Viewership is spiking. And instead of embracing it, Griner's complaining like she's being wronged. Here's the kicker. Caitlin Clark's impact is measurable. We're not talking hype. We're talking real cold numbers. The moment Clark was sidelined with an injury, ticket prices for Indiana Fever games collapsed. PBD cited exact figures. Tickets for a Fever game in Chicago plummeted from $86 to $25.
Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14 from $41. What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting, as well as the hate and anger towards Caitlin Clark?
In Washington, prices dropped from $41 to $14. These aren't random dips. These are massive crashes tied directly to Clark's presence or absence. Meanwhile, Griner's out here acting like fans are the enemy. No, Brittney. They're the reason your paycheck exists. This is professional sports, not a yoga retreat. Passion is part of the package. Even more ironic, the louder and more invested the fans become, the higher the WNBA's revenue grows. And guess what? That means better salaries, more endorsements, bigger arenas. Griner's basically biting the hand that's feeding the entire league. Now let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one player's meltdown. It's about the culture shift happening in the WNBA and how some veterans are struggling to adjust. For years, WNBA games were played in front of empty bleachers. No pressure, no noise, no real accountability. Players could jog up and down the court, shoot 30%, and barely make the highlights. Griner herself once said it was a peaceful environment where you could get work done during the game, like it was a Starbucks with basketballs. But everything changed the moment Caitlin Clark entered the league. This wasn't a ripple, it was a tidal wave. Suddenly, stadiums started selling out. People were live tweeting Fever games. ESPN moved coverage to prime time, and for the first time in WNBA history, players were being recognized, not just for their talent, but because fans finally had someone who pulled them in. That spotlight, it's hot, and not everyone can handle it. When PBD pointed out how unprepared Griner and others seem for this level of attention, he wasn't attacking, he was exposing a deeper truth. The WNBA isn't used to this. For 25 years, it operated in a protective bubble, minimal media scrutiny, low fan expectations. And now, with actual popularity comes actual pressure. And pressure exposes everything. The cracks, the insecurities, the resentment. You could see it in Griner's tone. It wasn't just annoyance, it was envy. She sees the way fans adore Caitlin Clark. The media covers Clark's every move. Jerseys are flying off the shelves. And deep down, some veteran players are asking, why her? Why not us? PBD addressed that directly. Yes, Clark is white, and yes, race might play a role in her popularity. But more importantly, Clark is a legitimate star. She's good. She pulls up from the logo. She's exciting, and she's marketable.
She's fourth in the league in MVP voting. Fourth in the league, her rookie year.
Wow.
Outstanding. She's like Steph Curry. She can pull up from anywhere. You understand? She has that kind of capability. Didn't win a national championship. Lost to LSU one year. We lost to South Carolina another year. But she's outstanding and clearly worthy of being the number one overall pick. And what I was saying to everybody is ride the wave. Rising tide lifts all boats. The girl is spectacular. It's not like she's not a scrub. She's not only can play, she's a star caliber player who draws this attention. And maybe it's because that fan base that she has and her being a young white lady contributes to it. So what? Benefit from it.
Just like Michael Jordan for the NBA and Tiger Woods for golf, Clark is doing that for the WNBA. The league said it wanted growth. Well, this is what growth looks like. But some players only wanted the benefits, not the pressure, not the noise, not the competition for attention. And that's the real story PBD was trying to tell. Let's get one thing straight. Professional athletes are entertainers. That's the job. You perform. People pay. You get paid. That's how the system works. So when Brittney Griner says it feels like players are being treated like entertainment, she's not revealing some deep injustice. She's just describing the job title. It's like a chef complaining that people expect to be fed. What would Gordon Ramsay say if Brittney Griner showed up on MasterChef and said she couldn't cook because people were watching?
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Patrick Bet-David didn't just point out the hypocrisy, he demolished it. He said what nobody in the WNBA dares to say. The league lost money for 25 straight years because no one was watching. Not because of gender, not because of racism, because the product didn't sell.
WNBA's trash.
No,
Straight
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay, this is my opinion.
Okay.
This is my opinion.
Okay.
It's a zombie company. It loses money. Nobody's going to the game. Thank God they get Caitlin Clark. She's injured for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, attendance goes down. This is not going to work long term. You trust me. You'll see this long term. Ain't nobody going to WNBA games. Vinny, who won the championship last year? You don't even know.
Liberty.
Who's the yeah, you're a professional sports fan. Come on. Tom, who's the leading player in the league right now, WNBA? You don't know.
Sarah.
PBD, how many teams are there in the WNBA?
60.
I don't know. The point is nobody cares, and we're trying to make a story out of a story that don't exist. And I'm here to play the game. WNBA, Caitlin Clark, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Now that it is, thanks to players like Caitlin Clark, there's no room for complaints, especially not from someone who was rescued from a foreign prison just to return to a life of luxury and fame. And the thing is, this wasn't even just a media moment. The US government literally freed an arms dealer, a man responsible for global death and destruction, so Griner could come home. That's how much value was placed on her freedom. And her response? Whining about fans being too loud. The disconnect here is almost unbelievable. While athletes in the NBA are grinding through 82-game seasons, getting booed in opposing arenas, and playing through broken fingers, Griner's out here calling regular fan behavior toxic. Newsflash, Luka Doncic gets heckled every time he touches the ball in enemy territory. Draymond Green hears boos before he even walks onto the court. But that's part of the game. You rise above it. You don't melt down over it. PBD even compared the situation to musicians. Imagine Taylor Swift walking off stage because fans screamed too loud, or an actor storming out of a theater because the crowd clapped too hard. Nobody in entertainment gets to complain about audience energy. But Griner's worldview seems to exist in a fantasy where WNBA players can enjoy fame, salary increases, and media attention, without criticism, without fan demands, without the heat. And that's not how any of this works. This whole situation isn't just about one player's outburst. It's a warning shot to the entire league. The WNBA has a chance to finally step into the spotlight. People are watching. Media outlets are covering it. Sponsors are calling. But what happens if players start pushing those fans away? You don't grow a brand by alienating your customers. Patrick Bet-David hammered this point. The very people Brittney Griner finds disruptive are the ones holding up the league right now. If even a fraction of Caitlin Clark's supporters walked away tomorrow, the WNBA would feel it. In the seats, on TV, at the bank. This isn't theoretical. PBD pulled out hard numbers to prove it. The WNBA is projected to hit $1 billion in value for the first time in its 25-year history.
It's projecting that this year WNBA is going to make $1 billion.
Is that profit or revenue?
It doesn't matter. You'll find a way to increase EBITDA, driven by surge in popularity, increase revenue from ticket sales, merchandise, and television deals, particularly due to the impact of the players like Caitlin Clark. The league's revenue is expected to grow significantly, with forecasts suggesting a global market value exceeding $1 billion.
Okay.
This is going in that direction.
It's going in the right.
Why? Because of this surge in public interest. And let's not pretend it's a coincidence that this happened the moment Clark joined the league. And yet, instead of rallying around that growth, Griner is sulking in post-game interviews, accusing fans of racism because they dared to cheer too loud during her games. That's not leadership, that's sabotage. If the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, its stars have to act like professionals. That means embracing the pressure, rising to the moment, taking the boos with the applause. That's how Kobe Bryant did it. That's how Giannis Antetokounmpo does it. That's how greatness is built. And no, this isn't about silencing discussions around race or ignoring bias, but throwing around accusations of light racism without clear evidence doesn't elevate the conversation. It cheapens it. PBD didn't dismiss racism. He dismissed excuses. He challenged Griner not to play the victim, but to meet the moment, to recognize that her platform exists because people care, because people are watching, because finally, after decades of being ignored, the WNBA matters. And if that spotlight is uncomfortable, good. That means the league is growing. Pressure makes diamonds, or it makes cracks. Right now, we're seeing which players are shining and which ones are shattering. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more breakdowns like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps, and your support keeps us going. Thank you.